I started menstruating at age 9.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was quite very
That's
young, and getting to see my period, and the first person I ran to was my mom. She was shocked, and what she did amazed me. She gave me a slap and took me to the hospital. Sure, before we got to the hospital, she kept saying, "Who touched you?" She thought I had been defiled because I was just 9. I didn't like myself when I had my first child. Going from a size 8 to a size 12, losing my waistline, losing everything, being chubby.
Like, you know how they say traditionally when women are on their period or something, there's a hut for them outside the house and things like that. And my unpopular opinion is like bring back like menstruation rooms, right? That they will say that oh, she's impaired so she can't do housework and anything, and you're kind of isolated, and they bring you your food. I mean, check it.
Hello, a very wonderful afternoon to you all. Thank you for joining another episode of the Fifth Estate Live on Akweya TV, the only broadcast channel that brings you stories on history, arts, and culture, analyzing how it affects our development as individuals and as a society. Like we all know, right? The issues around women hygiene when it comes to menstruation, birth, and after birth has been on the table for too long, and it feels like we're not even doing so much in that space. Like we're not even talking about it enough. We're not advocating about it enough because we still see women deal with postpartum depression. We still see young girls who are traumatized about events that happened while they were in secondary school. You know those times when you are in school and your uniform gets stained and all of that. Some of us don't even still know how to track our menstrual cycle. And all of these have been the issues over time, and it just feels like we're still not doing enough. So, on that note, I have two very wonderful individuals with me in the studio. One is a doula. Don't worry, I will explain that as we go. Curiosity made me ask. Don't worry, I will give you the main gist as we go. And then we also have a menstrual hygiene advocate, a menstrual health advocate. I would like to use that. They will be enlightening us and teaching us and telling us more about women hygiene. We talk about menstrual, birth, and beyond. It promises to be a wonderful conversation. However, before we go deep into the conversation, do well to join this conversation by leaving a comment in the comment section. As a young lady, tell me how it feels like when you have to go out on those days, those are cycle days. What does it feel like? As a young guy, how do you deal with your wife, your sister, your girlfriend, your fiancé who has cravings, cramps, and mood swings on those days? This and many more will be part of our conversation. Don't go nowhere. So, Miss Rahama and Miss Ashley, thank you for joining me on the show.
Thank you very much.
Oh, look at that smile. See, have you seen beautiful women today? Have you seen beautiful women today? I bring you some of that. Two very beautiful women, and that smile is heavenly. So, we're talking about women's health, yeah? Let's talk about the menstruation health. So, I'll start with Miss Ashley as a menstrual health advocate. So, what has it been for you? First of all, let's talk about why you started it in the first place. Sometimes we see people talk about, it's because they're not doing so much in that space, or I was traumatized as a child, or I didn't have enough as a child. This is what pushed me into it. So let's know your reason for going into menstrual health advocacy.
Okay, thank you very much. Menstrual health is a natural and intergenerational phenomenon that we experience from a certain age as a girl into womanhood. Then it descends into menopause. It is a process of a girl's life and a woman's life. For me, it was an experience I had when I was 9. I started menstruating at age 9.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was quite very
That's
young,
very-
you know, and getting to see my period, and the first person I ran to was my mom. She was shocked, and what she did amazed me. She gave me a slap and took me to the hospital. Sure, before we got to the hospital, she kept saying, "Who touched you?" She thought I had
Been
been
defiled.
defiled because I was just 9. She saw her menstrual flow at 18. So that's double her age. So in all understanding, it's okay for her to think, "Ah, why? What's happening?" It was when we got to the hospital that the doctor told her she's on her period. And of course, I got the sermon that we all got. Don't let any boy touch you.
I can imagine the uncertainty
Exactly.
on your face.
And I was like, okay, don't let any boy touch you. Is that it? No problem. Imagine having 5 brothers and you're not supposed to allow any boy touch you.
Oh jeez.
Now, those 5 brothers, when you cook and you give to them, they touch you physically. But my mom said, don't let any boy touch you. She didn't want to discuss sex with me. So for every time my brother said, thank you for the water thing, I got pregnant. Because in my head, if they touch you, you'll be pregnant. So it doesn't matter the touch, physical, sexual. To me, it was physical touch. It was the eldest, my elder brother, that sat me down and told me what the touch mommy was talking about was. And when he did, I now understood. So I lived freely. That was number 1 trauma. Now, during this period, I was meant to use tissue paper. Now, that same elder brother that gave me the education of what sexual education is also wrapped tissue paper for me. Gave it to me to use as my...
He was in secondary school at the university at the
He
time.
was in university at the
Oh,
time.
wow. You're quite
And-
lucky.
Yeah, and he gave it to me a lump. Oh, you know, he's a boy, he doesn't understand. So he
Yeah.
gave me a lump which I fixed under, and I would work, catwalk, just to put the tissue paper in between my legs so they don't fall.
Fall off.
So they call me the catwalking girl in school, but I catwalked for 5 to 6 days. The next week, I'll walk normally. People don't understand because sometimes this tissue paper will cut into 2, you know, and one will go to the back or a shift to the front. You're trying to adjust and you get stained eventually. Or the most embarrassing moment will be when it falls off. And when it falls off, everybody is on it. Who put this thing here? Who put this? Me too, I'll be there. Who put this thing here? Who put this? Because of course you don't want to show your shame.
You don't want to be the topic of conversation for the next 2 months or 3
Because
months.
the menstruation will not just stop there and you will be stained. And they call you map of Africa. And you walk around with your stain. So I didn't want to go to school during those periods. But of course, I had a friend that would give me his t-shirt, no, his cardigan to tie around my waist just to cover my stain, you know. I'll tell you a story about that because I married him. Moving forward. So growing up, I drove past a supermarket at a point and I saw 4 girls in a cluster around a school area. The supermarket is just opposite the school and the school is not fenced. And I noticed they had blood in paper, newspaper. So they were ripping off the newspaper they used to cover their books. You know how we cover our book just to keep here?
Keep it clean.
So they were ripping it off and it has blood stains on there. I got worried. That was why I pulled over and interceded them. And what's happening? One of them mentioned, no, nothing. She's changing her pad. Apparently, they will rip out those paper, fold it, and use it as sanitary pads. I felt very sorry for them because I also had such issue. I didn't use newspaper, but I used tissue paper, like I said. So I took them in my car and took them to the supermarket at the time. They jumped in. They were happy when they heard that I wanted to buy them sanitary pads, regardless of who I am.
That's to tell you how
important and how menstruation can
be
lead.
so expensive.
Exactly.
And the funny thing is, it's not getting cheaper.
Not getting cheaper.
It's not getting cheaper. So at 12, I had no idea what menstruation was about. When they started talking about it in school, it felt very, very off for me. I think I started menstruating at about 13.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I heard all the, if any guy touch you, you will get pregnant. And I was a footballer in school.
Oh, wow.
I trained with guys. I trained with guys. So it make me understand. Football was like my lifeline in secondary school back then. It was my lifeline because I'm not exactly friendly as at then. So it was my lifeline to freely mix with people without feeling awkward. And now you're telling me that these guys I train with cannot touch me. It felt very off. And I wasn't lucky to have an older person who understand. My mom, again, wasn't open to all the sexual education and sex education and all of that. So, but the good thing for me was that the first set of sanitary pads I used was always sanitary, always Ultra. And it was given to me 1 year before I started menstruating. So, I attended a government school and we had nurses come to school to educate us, to sensitize us. So they gave 1 pack and 4 pieces. Like 1 pack as in a full dozen of always Ultra and 4 extra to each girl who attended that session.
Event, yeah.
So I had my sister had hers. So we didn't have to, when we started, we didn't have to struggle to get because we already have some of it in the house. But after that, when those was finished, buying was a problem, right? But then I went to a boarding school in Niger State and I saw girls who use rags, who use towel. They buy towel from the house, they repeat and then fold it and use and then wash it at the end of the day and like that. And I joined them, to be honest. But then that brings me to the health aspect of it. Because we were in boarding school, we didn't have access to hot water to steam these towels and napkins. We just wash them normally and use. So when it comes to sterilizing it, it doesn't happen, right? And somehow there will always be this tiny little bacteria perching here and there. So the concern on what these towels we use, the health hazard it brings to us as young girls, right? We're not well talked about. We're only centered on, let's just see something to use.
Yeah.
With the health aspect, and some of our teachers also shy away from it.
Discussing it. Okay.
Some of our teachers also shy away from it. So it brings me to the question of, in our larger society, do we really think that the issue on cost of menstruation, I like to call it cost of menstruation because you will buy pad for people who have cramps, the medication for that and all, and it's not getting cheaper. It's not getting cheaper. So do we have alternatives, healthier alternatives to all of this?
Okay, that brings me to my story then. After I gave them the sanitary pad and took them back to school, I got really curious because something in me said, this is just 4 out of many. So I went back the next day and I think I bought 2 cartons. It was 46 packs in the carton, and I went back because I wanted to hear more story. So I go back. Of course, I wasn't given access into the school, but the girls recognized me when I came, and they were happy because they had already told some of their friends. So they all came out and like, hey, thank you. Can we have our own? I said, of course. So what do you use? You hear things like, I use, I think the one that really scared me was the girl that uses ashes on a leaf. Yes, she uses ashes on a leaf because, whatever you pour into the ash kind of holds.
Yeah, it absorbs
it absorbs it. So whatever will hold it down for them is what they use. The ones that use rag, of course, there are a lot of them. One of them even said sometimes when she goes to switch the rag, it falls off in their toilet and they have pee Like they have urine
all over the place.
all over the place. So she squeezes it out and she wears it again because, hey, she has to use something. One of them also says she wears 6 skirts. And as it gets soaked, she takes it off from under until it gets to the last skirt. Then she leaves the school. At that time, that school does not have fence. It's fenced now. It's somewhere in Jai, opposite the very big supermarket coming up. It wasn't fenced during that time. And that is what they know how to do. It got me very worried that these girls might be infected. They don't care about the health hazard. They just want to hold their menstruation. Why? Because the main thing that happens to them psychologically is stain. They don't want to see the stain. The embarrassment that comes with the stain, how the boys are going to mock them, laugh at them, how they are just going to be called names. But anyhow, they will hold the menstruation. Some of them use nylon, pure water bag nylon. She says she ties one here and she ties one at the other place. Now, it's not just about costs. It's not just about cost of the sanitary pad because everything is inflating in cost, including the sanitary wear. It is your lifestyle, your hygiene
as an individual.
You can use clothes, cotton clothes, which some people still practice, which made us move from disposable sanitary pad to reusable sanitary pad, just for sustainability. Because after being given more than 12,000, we noticed that you cannot keep giving it. It's not sustainable. Yeah. Because if you give them, like you said, 12 packs today, did you stop bleeding? No. Did your menstruation stop? No. So what is the sustainability? What is the sustainable development to solving this problem? So we went into reusable sanitary pads and sensitized them on the hygiene aspect of it. It is not about your menstrual lifestyle. It is your entire hygiene.
Okay, so I'm going to cut you there and speak to our doula. So by extension too, we see birth mothers, new mothers, they use pad also. They use pad also to hold off blood and stuff like that. It's bigger than the normal pad. So as a birth and mother advocate, when we see situations, for instance, women who go to give birth in the hospital. I have seen one, a woman who came to give birth, she didn't have the bed marks. I think that's what it's called. The Macintosh to cover. She doesn't have the pad. And these women are bleeding seriously, right? So is it also hygienic to use the towels or napkin or piece of clothing?
I mean, you use what is available at the time. Now, I think the Macintosh makes it easier to do, right? Because it's kind of created like a huge pad, right? It has plastic lining at the bottom so that it doesn't seep to the bed. It has a surface that can absorb the blood, right? It serves a purpose. Of course, if you're using a towel, you're not going to pick the dirtiest towel around, right? It's just that this is efficient and it makes cleaning up easier. If you use a towel, perhaps you might need to wash the towel and things like that, right? So materials that can serve that purpose. I mean, you can use a wrapper, you can use a towel. It's going to serve the same purpose. It just means that there might be more cleaning up afterwards, right? As long as the materials are clean, then they're usable for this instance. It doesn't always have to be a Macintosh because even I think the Macintosh is kind of like, you know how it was created out of a need. We haven't always had it. So it was somebody that realized that, like pads as well, what can be more efficient? How can we do this in a tidier way? And so invented that, right? And that was a creation. So other things can be used in that place. But then, of course, you then have to be careful of the cleanliness of what you're using at the time. That is what makes the difference, I think.
Okay. So there's this question, for instance, in the use of tissue paper to hold off the blood during menstruation. There's always discussions of having tiny little particles getting stuck. So do we get to deal with that for towels and wrappers, like those ones who use pieces, like they get wrapper and tear it into two?
I think it depends on it depends. Even tissue, for example, right? That is a quality that tissue has. Most brands of tissue have that even when you're using it to clean water, it will crumble. It would, because that's the nature. That's how it was created. So obviously, it's not like optimum material for this use. Do you get? It's like how you use cotton, or if you use linen. Different fabrics have different qualities. So we know that tissue, and even tissue, there are certain brands of tissue that when you use them to clean, they don't really leave that, like,
Yeah.
you understand that kind of thing, because maybe the material is different, how they are made is different. So wrapper, again, different qualities of wrapper. There are the ones that are made out of cotton, there are the ones that are made out of polyester. Then it depends on how it relates to your skin, the comfort you feel when you're wearing it, you understand. Then the nature of the fabric, for example, I'm sure you'd agree that cotton is the best fabric to use, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's natural, it absorbs better, it's easier for the skin, and all of those things. So these are all of the things that you then consider about what makes this a good fabric to use. If you use paper will crumble. Paper is crinkly, so it's not comfortable as well. Do you understand? Like, if you were to use paper, you have to break it down so that it's soft, right? So obviously that's not an ideal material to use. If you use silk is slippery. Silk doesn't really absorb as much. Again, not an. Do you see, like, there are qualities that you're like, oh, for what I need, something that absorbs, something that will not irritate my skin, something that will not do this. And then you look through, like, the range of fabrics and materials that you have available. A leaf is not ideal. Like, and so with the person using a leaf, the leaf then serves as the plastic because it will not soak through. But then ash is what will absorb. Do you see? In a way, it's like, oh, that's kind of genius, right?
Yeah, it's kind of innovative, right?
It's sad at the same time, right?
It's
sad and genius at the same time, because you didn't just use ash, like, okay, something to hold it. It's genius, but it's sad. That's not optimum.
That's less,
right, and things like that. So it's really knowing the materials that are available to you and what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Okay, so let's talk reusable pads. So in case you're trying to know what reusable pads look like, Miss Ashley brought one for us. It gives me the ancient napkin. It gives me the napkin vibe.
Yeah.
Yes, it gives me the napkin, and I like this idea. Because there's one concern with sanitary pads, the gum. You're worried that it's not going to stick properly, it will pull off and all of that. But if I have these and I just look it in, it's fine. But then, first of all, how affordable, and then the material. Did you get to check if this material is comfortable for all skin type? Or it's just, okay, this is usable, so let's deal with this?
Okay. Firstly, the reusable sanitary pads, in our verge of trying to solve a problem, create sustainability, and enforce you are very hygienic in your practice or in the management of menstruation, we look for fabrics that are locally sourced, accessible, cotton, and quality that has the quality here in Nigeria. We also do not just produce reusable pads, like this is one of them, not produced by us anyway. But you could see that this one, it has a waterproof fabric underneath. Now you can see this fabric is like the nappy you wear your baby. This is a softer one and a bigger one. Now what happens really is the pad inside is the breast pad.
The breast pad.
You
can
have.
know with clothing.
Yeah, it's very comfortable, isn't it? And it's body friendly. We try as much as possible to work around something that is body friendly, environmental friendly. Now the top has to be pure cotton and breathable. I would have brought the other one that has holes in it, like jersey material. It is breathable, because if you notice you wear some pads for a while, you begin to itch.
Yes.
It's because those are not fine fabrics and they are not breathable. Now you don't just go into the market to distribute this. You also need the license of the government parastatals that handles things that have to do with the body. So it means it has been tested and trusted. So it is not picking up fabric or any fabric and making sanitary pad out of it. It is finally sitting down, going through the process. Quality control, accessibility is key, affordability is key in this process.
So I am quite excited about the idea of a reusable sanitary pad. I think we should advocate more for this.
Yeah.
Honestly, we should, because with the inflation rate, this is like the next big thing for we ladies. So before we round off, let's talk mothers. Before we round off on the show, let's talk mothers. So I'll start with our doula. So, so the thing is, aside from the whole birth process and the whole bleeding thing, we see women who have fears, right? We see women being told, or we hear people say, if you don't take folic acid, you give birth to an autistic child, or you give birth to a child with cerebral paralysis, or your child will look like this or look like that. You understand? You see some persons tell you, like there's this belief that some people say, if you don't eat biscuit bone, if you don't eat liver, if you don't eat veggies, if you cannot have this kind of kids. For safe delivery, you should eat certain kind of veggies and all of that. So this puts the mother, the expectant mother, on the edge as to what to eat, what not to eat, and all of that. And then it feels like this sensitization and advocacy for new mothers, in fact, for births and mothers and new babies, seems not to be hitting all angle of our society. By all angle, I mean the men, the women, the hospitals, the medical practitioners. It seems not to be hitting all angle. Because while the mother is on the edge of do this, don't do that, the father is just there. And some of them don't even give as much psychological support or emotional support or even physical support that these mothers need. So as one who advocates for mothers and births and as a doula, how do you, when you meet women in this kind of space, how do you handle it?
I'm trying to get the question. I think then that's why these conversations need to start getting broader, right?
Okay.
And so it's not just conversing with women that are in pregnancy in the now, right? With my organization, for example, what we're trying to do is, when it was established to support moms, but then you realize that moms do not exist in a vacuum. They exist in a community, and mothers have sisters, they have husbands, they have cousins, they have brothers. It's the same conversation when you started your period, right? Unfortunately, you did not get the information that you needed from your mom.
Exactly.
But thankfully your brother was aware enough to support you. So this is not just a women's only issue, because sometimes it's not just women that are present to provide support, right? And again, that there was somebody that was offering you a cardigan that was trying to protect you in this way, right? Because they were aware that this is a sensitive issue, and so it was providing protection for you. Awareness is what is important, and awareness is not just for women. They're like, sometimes you read horrific stories, of someone's birth and things like that, and that does not translate entirely to everybody's birth, but it is also a possibility in birth. And now you're aware. And okay, if this is what happened to this person, maybe this was a condition. Because there are certain things that come with birth, right? That are natural, that you expect. Like, birth is poetic, but it's also painful. Right, so there's no one that, like, if you're having a vaginal birth, if you're having a cesarean, you know that there's pain that comes with it. Yes, at the end of it, we hope to have a healthy baby, and that is the joy that comes from it. But the process is painful. There's a lot of expansion that is needed for this process, right? So kind of like the information helps you to be aware, and I think that it's never lost to have information, because then you're consciously making a decision. You're making an informed decision, as opposed to when you know that, okay, aside my period, I'm a certain age, I'm married or something, and then I need to have children. It's almost like this is what the layers of expectations are for you as human beings, but you don't really know the intimate details of having a child. For example, when you start your period, you just say if a man should touch you, if a boy should touch you, right? That's like the surface of having children. No, like, there's more to a man touching you and you getting pregnant than that. And so that you break down the information and break down the nuance. And so this is what happens when you're pregnant. And of course, like, there are certain things that are markers that you have a balanced diet. And that's why, because folic acid or folate, I personally prefer to use folate because it's a more naturally occurring substance, and that's what you get in dark leafy greens like vegetables and things like that, right? If we were now, this is such a stretched out conversation, because even when we're talking about periods, there are certain things that are now normal in periods when they're just indicators. Do you get? Like, for example, painful periods are not normal, but they are indicators. They are normal now because a lot of people have them. But then it's also an underlying issue that it's like, okay, this is happening, this is normal for this person, but what does it say about their reproductive health? Do you understand? That's something to look further into. So all of these things, yes, maybe eat folate. Yes, avoid certain things, because certain things maybe cause contractions in your stomach, early pregnancy. And so to preserve your pregnancy, you would avoid certain things and how they impact you in this journey that you're journeying, right? And with food as well, we're not really eating balanced diet as we do. Again, the integrity of our food is questionable, right? And so because of this, then it's like, folate is very important for pregnant women. It helps with brain health, development of your baby. So please eat your greens, or if you don't have access to them, get a supplement. That way you're not lacking. And what is incredible about pregnancy is that, like, it's as long as if your pregnancy is progressing, that baby is primed to survive. So it will take what it needs from your own body, from your system. Like, if it needed calcium, if it needs to extract from your bones, your pregnancy would do that. So for your own sake, for the sake of your pregnancy, your growing fetus, you would then like beef up on your health, because this also has long-term implications for you, for like your child, and for their future health. So all of these things are layers, and I think all of these things are conversations then that we all need to have as a community or as a society, because this is not just a women's problem, this is a humanity problem. So if you think about it.
So going by Ms. Ramat's word, it's a humanity problem. And I, for one, I am one of those advocates that say men should normalize going for antenatal with their wives. Go for antenatal. No, to be very honest.
Yeah. That's how you get
very valid.
That's where you know what's happening.
You go there, you see the kind of exercise these women do. You listen to the kind of lectures they receive from the nurses. It gives you an idea. When you go back home, it gives you an idea of what to do,
how to support your woman,
how to support your wife. Because till now, some people don't believe that postpartum depression is a thing. They don't believe it. They just see this woman as being possessed. Why will you give birth to a child and you don't want to touch the child? But there are some women who deal with a lot. Like she said, birth doesn't happen in a vacuum. So it's a process, and this woman has dealt with hormonal change. She has become somehow fat. Her face is looking very big as compared to what she used to look like. She has gone through waist pain, back pain, leg pain, and all of that. She has gone through the pain of labor. She has given birth. And because the husband doesn't understand all of this, she is psychologically and emotionally dealing with a lot. So depression comes in. And because you don't know, you can't help. So I really advocate that men should normalize going for antenatal. It is not such a big deal. It is not such a big deal. But then, to round off, you're a mother, and postpartum depression, like I said, is a thing. Most of us don't know it, or some people still don't want to believe it. But let's talk about afterbirth. How easy or how difficult it is to navigate through. So I want an individual account on it. But I don't know who is going first. Yeah, she should go first. At least she married her friend who was
yes, I was going to say that it has a lot to do with the men creating a safe place for your partner. Your wife or a pregnant woman around you. Not just the men, society as a whole. The truth is a lot of work, not just physically, not just psychologically. It takes a toll from a woman. She has her spine adjusted, her kidneys adjusted, everything is adjusted just to fit a baby. And she didn't do that by herself. It was an agreement or a
social activity.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be left as a woman's thing To me, I had a supportive partner, or rather, I have a supportive partner. Like I said, he's my friend. So before it gets to him, before it gets to me, he knows, he understands, and he is active with the process. I can sit down and be very anxious, depressed, cry because I'm going through my premenopausal now. He read on it. So he knows, okay, this one has started. So let's begin to tackle this, because you can't take it away. I didn't like myself when I had my first child. Going from a size 8 to a size 12, losing my waistline, losing everything, being chubby, and my kind of job at that time, I need to be on the screen, be on the road, and it affected me. But I had a supportive partner. I had someone who would read on it, who would want to discuss, who wants to understand why you're going through. I'm a happy child. I'm a happy girl. So when a switch, when there's a switch, she's quiet, something is wrong. You need to understand that the awareness and education to helping the next person is not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to be your partner. It's just you being human, because we will coexist.
True.
You are a woman, I'm a man. I will affect you in a way. If I'm having the hormonal imbalance, or I'm stressed out and I pass and I'm driving and you mistakenly just say, what is wrong with you? I can come down and beat you. It means something is wrong. But if you understand as a human being first, then you should know that this person has gone through a process that is not just medical, not just scientific, but divine. I call delivery a divine process because it has defeated science many times. So it has to do what the woman that went through it, she's the only one that can describe or tell you what it is. And the split second between the pain and the child is a switch, is a button off and on. You can't explain it. So if I'm going crazy and you realize it's just immediately out of something that is supposed to give me joy, I think you should be humanly enough to check on me, read on it if possible, ask experienced people about it around you, because you will have one or two. And you don't necessarily, I will say it again, have to be my partner. You just have to be human. Being human, be kind, be there. Just be there for that woman. Thank you.
So let's hear from Rama as a vet advocate.
I think like what you said is so like on point, right? And that like human compassion, because so even when I say I sift through like traditional practice and things like that, there was a time we're talking my unpopular opinion or something. I'm like, how they say traditionally when women are on their period or something, there's a hut for them outside the house and things like that. And my unpopular opinion is like bring back like menstruation rooms, right? That they will say that she's in peer, so she can't do housework and anything, and you're kind of isolated, and they bring you your food. I mean, check it.
I am in comfort.
If you think about it, right? I think it's a matter of language, right? Now, out of compassion, really, when you're on your period, I like that now the world is advancing to a point where a lot of organizations, a lot of countries are adapting, like when you're on your period, they give you leave, right? And things like that. That is so crucial. So I'm saying ancient care that it just, maybe the language was different, that you're saying she's dirty. There's nothing dirty about your period. Like that is such an important indicator for the advancement of humanity. If women were not having periods, that's a huge problem for humanity. Do you understand what I mean? That's a marker that shows that we're going to birth a next generation and everything like that. There's nothing impure about that. There's nothing shameful about that. That you choose to keep that private is fine, but like it's not something you should carry with shame. And so you see how give her a room, don't let her do work, but like now it's no longer about her being taboo. It's now reframing.
It's not care.
It's not care.
I think I like that. Let's debunk the taboo too,
and make it useful, relevant. Because men check.
That would be so good.
Yes, no. So we used to have fattening room.
Yes,
We used to have fattening room.
We should advocate for this.
honestly, like caring for women, showing
Let's go back.
compassion.
Let's go back.
It's a real thing, you know.
No, let's go back. Let's go back. It happens though, but like she said, they are being seen like a taboo. In short, when you're done, everything you wear, you take it out. You cannot go in to your main house with what you're wearing.
And let me
You
say, I
dump
feel like
it
our like elders, right, our like mothers, like Asian
They
mother, like
understood.
was is scope. Do you understand? Like
They
this man,
understood. They understood. Exactly.
Let us go to that room.
Let us consider.
They understood what it
I don't
was.
want to hear.
Yeah, because you know, honestly, sometimes it's difficult to explain to this man what the woman, what her body goes through within this period, right?
And there's a
You go
lot.
explain, Taya. And some of them just they're too stubborn. They don't
And,
want to hear.
and it's crazy because also like it's just now that even with research and things like that, like science advancing in matters that concern women's maternal health, menstrual health. If you think about it, like even pads, now that you see, or now like recently there was a study I saw that they said menstrual health, menstrual blood is regenerative or something like that. Like they've been using it in certain experiments and seeing and it's suddenly like, wow, do you get like,
really?
yeah, really, there isn't sufficient funding for these
those
things.
researchers.
It's how we found pads that were longer and everybody was celebrating it online. I think there was this pad out because really, I don't even know who was designing women's pads in the beginning, right? You bleed here, you like, like.
You know,
And
I've
this
always
is
asked
half
that
of-
question because why are the stains always coming from behind?
And this is like half of our population.
Should
How are you
we
telling us?
go into that?
No. So I'm just reiterating
And so
the idea
that's
of having
like
a longer
the
pad.
funding that goes
Yes,
into all of these
yes,
things.
yes.
Yes, because I am wearing the
The
normal
idea is
pad.
supposed to be for night, though.
I'm wearing
Because
a
you're
normal
lying
pad.
down.
Yeah.
And, all,
And you know the V goes this, like it's down this way and very
curves this-
close to your anus. And since it's dripping through, sorry, am I allowed?
No, yeah, you're fine.
It goes because you're lying down. So even when you sit face down or you're lying face down, you want to assume it should come forward.
Yeah, like gravity,
Have
but then it
gravity
would still
somehow it just finds its way to the, that's because there's a curve before you have the butt crack in between. So the curve.
And we
Takes
don't
it
have,
out.
And do you
our
see how-
pad are not designed to cover it.
So do
No,
you see
but
how
you should take the long one. If you check, every pad has a longer
one for night?
for night and a shorter one. And
So
that is why you
that
should
is why
not
we are celebrating the
only-
long parts.
You should not only wash up the vagina, you should also wash your anus.
And
when
these are
menstruating.
things like this is basic like is it PSHE? Do you understand? Physical
Yeah.
health education
Education.
Yeah.
that you should know in secondary school. These are things that you should know in biology classes that you should know
Yeah.
how you know your like when you're ovulating. All this
See,
is
if we're talking
basic
secondary school,
human-
I think biology and PHE for schools
Should be
women.
merged.
Should be women because I think even health education, because it's like the men shy away from this topic. We had it as part of our topics in school, but they shy away from it.
And like everybody, that's why I say everybody is inside poto because like how do you exist in a world without women? Do you understand? Barest,
There's no world
barest, you
without
have a
women.
mother.
Barest, yes.
You have a mother. You don't have sister, no problem. But there's not
think
a woman in
your
your
mama-
house.
There's actually no world without a woman.
Like, what do you mean that we're not having these conversations as human beings? It's not a woman issue.
No,
this
It's
is
a
like,
humanity issue.
and so yes, I agree with you. Men should be in the antenatal wards as well. Men should be in birthing rooms as well. All of these things, like men should be in these spaces because they are our allies, they are our support system. That if we say they're strong and supportive, that protect us, that is literally the role that you're here to perform. So yes, be with a woman, support that woman. Like, anyway.
Okay, so it's been a very wonderful conversation, and I am sure you're having fun. See, we just have a new advocacy idea. That is, bring back our outdoor room, please.
Menstrual room.
Our menstrual room, our bedrooms, please. So we still have the whole postnatal care. That's the omugo for the Igbo people. So the omugo process is still there and it's fine. But you see that menstrual room, please, people should bring it back because it's going to make a lot of sense. Don't worry, you don't have to deal with our crankiness and our mood swings.
Isolate us.
We go there. Just they give us food. Just give us food
And hot water.
and hot water. We are fine. Don't bother. Don't come closer.
And
We will not
painkiller.
we will not disturb you. You will not deal with our mood swing. The whole crankiness, you know, go see. The crying, you will have your peace of mind. Just give us hot water and food. We are fine. We will not disturb you. And please add Netflix and chill to the conversation.
Exactly. I was going to add that.
Add Netflix and chill to the conversation.
And small chocolates.
And small oh, see, don't worry.
Dark chocolate. Anyway.
Not be bridal list. Not be bridal
I'll
list.
menstruate for 11 days.
But at the end of the day, it is a humanity thing and not the women's thing. It is a humanity thing because women are that channel that brings the next generation. And as men who are our allies in this process, we all have to come together and see this as a humanity thing. Menstruation is not a taboo. So we shouldn't be treated like it is forbidden. And please learn some empathy too. Because trust me, a lot of us are traumatized with all those times we were mocked in school because our uniform got stained. So people will not wear white or any of their favorite dresses on those days where they have to menstruate because they don't want to be embarrassed and all of that. And this is not just about the men, it's even also about the women. Because we have women who are very quick to make mockery or laugh at the next woman whose clothes is stained. We have women who are very quick to say, she's the one being greedy. Which one is she? Craving shawarma and pizza. Come on, you're a woman too. And that you don't deal with it. Some of us don't deal with menstrual cramps. But it's a thing. I have seen girls who will crawl basically on those days. So that it doesn't happen to you doesn't mean it doesn't happen at all. So learn some empathy. It's been a wonderful time in the studio with Rahama and with Ashley. And trust me, if you're not joining this conversation, you are missing. You always catch us on Akweya TV on YouTube. You can also check out our website for interesting stories. Follow us on all our social media platforms. And don't forget to like and share this video. Better share this video because we have started a new advocacy. Bring back our menstrual rooms. I am not joking. Bring back our menstrual rooms so that we'll give you peace. For your own peace of mind. So, don't forget to like and share this video. Also subscribe to our channel and click on the notification bell so you're notified whenever we make a post. Till we come your way again next time. I have been in the studio with Adula Rahama and she's also a birth and mother advocate and then a menstrual health advocate, Ashley Laurie. She is the founder of Pad Up Africa. Do have a great day.